Welcome to the Mystery and Horror channel. Get ready for dark stories that will give you chills. Before we start, don't forget to leave your like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay tuned for every new mystery. Now turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and let's dive into terror. Legend 1. La Llorona, the Weeping Woman. On quiet nights along the banks of Mexican rivers and lakes, you may hear the haunting wail of La Llorona, a figure whose cries send chills down the spine of anyone who crosses her path. Her lament, "Ay, mis hijos, oh my children," echoes as a cry of anguish, a warning to the living of her presence. Her story, passed down through generations, is a blend of tragedy and terror. It is said that La Llorona was a woman named Maria, known for her unparalleled beauty, living in a small Mexican village. Maria was captivated by a wealthy and powerful man, a stranger who promised to take her away from her humble life. They married and had 2 children, but their relationship quickly crumbled. The man began spending more time away, and one day Maria saw him with another woman. Overcome by rage and jealousy, she had a fit of fury that sealed her fate. That night, in a moment of blind despair, Maria took her children to the nearest river and drowned them. But as soon as she saw their lifeless bodies floating in the current, she realized the horror of what she had done. Screaming in agony, she waded into the river and disappeared, never to be seen alive again. However, her soul found no peace. Since then, La Llorona has been seen wandering at night, especially near bodies of water. She is described as a tall woman, draped in a white dress, with long disheveled hair partially obscuring her pale, sorrowful face. Many witnesses report that upon hearing her cries, they feel an inexplicable chill and a sense of oppressive dread, as if something is watching them. The legend of La Llorona is not just a frightening tale but also a cautionary story. It is said that she roams in search of her children, kidnapping wandering children at night to replace those she lost. In some versions, she mistakes disobedient children for her own, making the story a warning for young ones to heed their parents and avoid dangerous places. One of the most well-known accounts took place in Michoacan, where a fisherman heard the cries of a woman near the river. When he approached, he saw a figure in white floating on the water. As he called for help, she turned, revealing a cadaverous face with sunken, lifeless eyes. He fled in terror, but it is said that since that encounter, he hears La Llorona's cries in his dreams. The story of La Llorona has transcended borders, adapted into films and horror series. However, for many in Mexico, she is more than a legend. She is a real entity, a spirit condemned to wander, unable to forgive herself. Those who hear her cry say it is an omen of death or misfortune. So, if you're near a river at night and hear, "Ay, mis hijos," run immediately. It is said that those who encounter La Llorona are never the same again. Legend 2. El Chupacabras. In the late 1990s, rumors of a mysterious creature began circulating in rural communities across Mexico. The accounts described a shadowy figure that attacked livestock during the night, leaving their bodies drained of blood. Thus, the legend of El Chupacabras was born, one of the country's most enigmatic and frightening stories. The first sightings occurred in northern Mexico, where farmers found their goats dead, with bite marks on their necks and not a drop of blood remaining. The precision of the wounds, combined with the absence of any signs of struggle, led many to believe it wasn't an ordinary predator. Some witnesses claimed to have seen the creature, describing it as a reptilian being with glowing eyes, scaly skin, and spines running down its back. Others likened it to a skeletal, deformed dog. The legend quickly spread throughout Mexico and beyond. Entire farms reported nocturnal attacks, fueling a collective hysteria. Experts attempted to provide rational explanations, such as coyote attacks or diseases affecting livestock. However, the precision of the injuries and the consistent pattern of the attacks defied conventional explanations. In a small village in Chihuahua, a farmer named Ernesto swore he saw El Chupacabras with his own eyes. While checking his livestock at dusk, he heard a strange noise. Shining his flashlight into the area, he saw a short, skinny figure with glowing red eyes clutching a goat in its claws. The creature fled quickly, but not before emitting a sharp, piercing sound that left Ernesto paralyzed with fear. Over the years, new descriptions of El Chupacabras began to emerge. Some people claimed it was an extraterrestrial creature left on Earth after a failed experiment. Others believed it was a genetically modified animal created by scientists. Despite the theories, no one has been able to capture or definitively prove its existence. Paranormal investigators visited several farms where El Chupacabras had been sighted, reporting inexplicable events such as strange sounds and unusual footprints. On one occasion in Nuevo Leon, security cameras captured a shadowy figure moving quickly through the fields, but the video quality was too poor to identify the creature. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the legend of El Chupacabras remains alive. Some believe it still roams rural areas, preying on livestock under the cover of darkness. Others say the attacks have stopped because the creature finally found what it was searching for. Either way, the mere mention of its name still sends chills down the spines of many communities. If you're on a remote farm and hear unusual noises at night, it's best to stay indoors and protect your animals. After all, it's said that El Chupacabras is smarter than it seems, and once it selects its prey, it rarely lets it escape. Legend 3, La Pascualita. In the city of Chihuahua, Mexico, a small bridal shop called La Popular holds a secret that has intrigued and terrified visitors for decades. In its main display window stands a mannequin dressed in wedding gowns, showcasing exquisite beauty. Yet, it's impossible to ignore the unnervingly lifelike realism of its features. The mannequin, known as La Pascualita, is surrounded by a dark legend that has made it one of the most famous figures in Mexican folklore. The story began in 1930, when the mannequin first appeared in the shop. Locals immediately noticed its striking resemblance to the shop owner's daughter, Pascuala Esparza. Shortly before, Pascuala had tragically lost her daughter on what was to be her wedding day. The young bride had been stung by a scorpion while trying on her wedding dress and died just hours before the ceremony. The arrival of the mannequin, bearing such a strong likeness to the young woman, sparked rumors. Could it be that Pascuala had embalmed her daughter's body and placed it in the display? The perfection of La Pascualita's details is what most impresses and unsettles onlookers. Her skin appears to have a human-like texture, with incredibly realistic hands featuring visible veins and impeccably manicured nails. Even her eyes seem to hold a mournful expression, as if alive. Shop employees have reported feeling her presence, describing moments when they believed they saw her move slightly or change position. The legend deepened when customers and locals began reporting inexplicable events. Some claim that while passing by the shop at night, they noticed La Pascualita staring directly at them, her eyes following their movements. Others have said they've seen tears on her face, as if she were mourning her eternal state. One famous account involves a bride who purchased a dress from the window display featuring La Pascualita. The young woman reported feeling an overwhelming presence while being assisted, as though the mannequin were watching her closely. Terrified, she returned the dress days later, convinced something supernatural surrounded La Pascualita. There are also rumors that La Pascualita interferes with anyone who tries to alter her attire or move her. An employee once tried to change her dress and felt his hands grow cold and stiff, as if something were restraining him. Others claim to hear footsteps or whispers in the shop when they are alone, especially at night. Despite the unease she provokes, La Pascualita has become a tourist attraction, drawing curious visitors and paranormal enthusiasts from around the world. Some claim that up close, they feel an inexplicable connection, as if they are standing before something more than just a mannequin. Skeptics, however, believe the legend is merely a clever marketing strategy that helped the shop gain fame. Regardless of the truth, La Pascualita continues to fascinate and frighten those who encounter her. If you visit Chihuahua and decide to see La Pascualita for yourself, the advice is simple. Observe her from a distance, and if you feel her gaze on you, it might be best to move along. After all, they say she doesn't like being stared at for too long, and no one knows what might happen if she decides to react. Legend 4. La Isla de las Muñecas, the Island of the Dolls. Hidden among the canals of Xochimilco in Mexico City lies a small island both fascinating and horrifying. Known as La Isla de las Muñecas, the Island of the Dolls, it is adorned with hundreds of dolls hanging from trees, fences, and small huts. Some are mutilated, with missing eyes, tangled hair, and disfigured bodies, creating an eerie atmosphere that draws visitors from around the world. The origin of the island traces back to a man named Julian Santana Barrera, who lived there in isolation for decades. According to legend, Julian discovered the body of a young girl who had drowned in one of the canals surrounding the island. Shortly after, he found a doll floating in the water, which he believed belonged to the girl. To honor her spirit, Julian hung the doll on a tree as an offering. However, the island's peace was disrupted when Julian began to experience strange phenomena. He heard whispers, laughter, and footsteps at night, even though he lived alone. Convinced that the girl's spirit was restless, he started collecting more dolls, hanging them all over the island in an attempt to appease her soul. Over the years, the island became a bizarre sanctuary, with dolls of every shape and size covering every inch of the place. Some were brought by visitors wishing to contribute to the shrine, while others were salvaged by Julian from garbage or waterways. He believed each doll had a purpose, serving to protect the island and ward off evil spirits. The story took an even darker turn in 2001 when Julian was found dead in the same canal where he claimed to have discovered the girl. His death fueled the legend further, with many believing that the girl's spirit had finally claimed him. Today, La Isla de las Muñecas is a popular destination for tourists and paranormal investigators. Visitors report feeling a heavy energy upon arriving at the island, as if they are being watched. Many claim that the dolls seem alive, their eyes following movements or their heads subtly turning with the breeze. At night, the island becomes even more terrifying, with accounts of voices and children's laughter echoing through the canals. Despite the fear it instills, the island is also a place of respect. Locals believe the dolls truly protect the area and warn that disrespecting the island could bring bad luck. If you visit, remember, don't touch the dolls without permission and never, ever take one as a souvenir. Those who try to steal from the island are said to be haunted by its spirits until the stolen item is returned. Legend 5. La Nahuala. In the city of Puebla, Mexico, there exists an ancient legend that has terrified generations. The story of La Nahuala, a malevolent spirit that roams the streets at night, transforming into different creatures to deceive and capture its victims. The origins of La Nahuala date back to colonial times, blending indigenous and European beliefs into a supernatural figure embodying trickery, power, and fear. According to the legend, La Nahuala was a powerful woman who secretly practiced dark sorcery. She is said to have made a pact with dark forces to gain supernatural abilities, allowing her to shapeshift at will. Her preferred forms include black dogs, cats, or even birds, but there is always something unsettling about her appearance: glowing eyes, abnormal size, or unnatural behavior. As a witch, she used her powers to sow chaos in her community, but after her death, her soul found no peace. Instead, La Nahuala became a wandering spirit, seeking souls to fulfill her pact. The most famous story of La Nahuala takes place on a narrow, shadowy street in Puebla, where there is an abandoned house said to be her refuge. According to legend, on the night of the dead, two disobedient children ventured into the house to explore. As they walked down a dark hallway, they heard heavy footsteps behind them. Turning around, they saw a grotesque figure with burning eyes and sharp claws, La Nahuala. One of the children managed to escape, but the other was captured, and it is said that their soul remains trapped in the house to this day. Residents of Puebla frequently report sightings of La Nahuala on the darkest nights. Drivers passing by the abandoned house claim to see strange shadows crossing the windows or hear muffled screams from within. Others recount encounters with black dogs or cats with glowing eyes that follow them through the streets, only to vanish when confronted. Some believe that La Nahuala continues to seek souls to complete her pact. The atmosphere around the house is described as oppressive. Visitors often feel a heavy energy as they approach, as though something unseen is watching them. On full moon nights, the sound of footsteps or knocking on the walls can be heard from afar. Locals avoid passing by, especially at night, and many share stories of friends or relatives who disappeared after disrespecting the legend. While the story of La Nahuala serves as a cautionary tale for disobedient children, it also carries profound cultural elements. For many, she represents the delicate balance between respect for the unknown and the consequences of crossing forbidden boundaries. Historians suggest that the legend reflects a fear of change and a desire to preserve traditions during times of uncertainty. Today, La Nahuala's house draws curious visitors and ghost hunters eager to experience the supernatural. Some attempt to capture evidence of her presence, while others simply seek to understand the mystery surrounding the legend. For locals, however, La Nahuala is more than a story. She is a real entity, a dark force to be respected and feared. If you visit Puebla and approach the abandoned house, the advice is clear. Do not enter, especially at night, and never provoke animals you encounter nearby. It is said that if La Nahuala chooses you, no matter where you are, she will find you. And when she does, it will be too late to escape. Legend 6. El Callejón del Beso, the Alley of the Kiss. In the charming city of Guanajuato, known for its narrow streets and colorful architecture, there lies a place steeped in romance and tragedy. El Callejón del Beso, the Alley of the Kiss. This narrow alley, where the balconies of opposite houses nearly touch, has become a symbol of eternal love, but its origin is rooted in a legend with a heart-wrenching ending. The story begins with Ana, a young woman from a wealthy and traditional family, and Carlos, a humble miner. Despite the stark differences in their social status, the two fell deeply in love. However, Ana's father, a strict and domineering man, disapproved of the relationship. Determined to separate them, he locked Ana in her room and forbade her from leaving. But their love was so strong that they found a way to communicate. Carlos rented a room in the house across from Ana's, where the balconies nearly touched. From his balcony, he could reach her, and the two spent hours whispering and exchanging promises of eternal love. Their nights were filled with stolen kisses and plans to elope and begin a new life together. However, their secret meetings were discovered by Ana's father. Enraged, he stormed into her room and, before her terrified eyes, stabbed her in the heart. Carlos, powerless to stop him, held Ana's hand one last time as she died. Devastated, he threw himself from his balcony, ending his life in the alley below. From that day on, El Callejón del Beso became a haunted place, where the souls of the lovers are said to linger, trapped in an endless cycle of love and sorrow. Today, El Callejón del Beso is a popular destination for couples who believe that a kiss on the third step of the alley will grant them 7 years of happiness. However, it's said that those who pass through without kissing their partner will be cursed with 7 years of bad luck in love. Visitors report hearing soft whispers and seeing shadows on the balconies, as if the lovers are still there. While the legend carries romantic elements, it also serves as a reminder of the tragedies that can arise from prejudice and intolerance. El Callejón del Beso is both a celebration of true love and a warning about the cost of resisting it. If you visit Guanajuato, El Callejón del Beso is a must-see. Feel the atmosphere charged with history and mystery, but remember, respect the place and the sacrifice of the lovers. Legend has it that Ana and Carlos watch over every couple who passes through, approving of those who demonstrate genuine love. For those who mock or disrespect the legend, the lovers may make their presence known in far darker ways. Legend 7. El Charro Negro. In Mexican folklore, few figures are as enigmatic and terrifying as El Charro Negro. He is described as an elegant man, dressed in traditional Charro attire, complete with a wide-brimmed sombrero, polished boots, and a richly embroidered suit. He is always seen riding a majestic black horse with eyes that burn like embers. According to legend, El Charro Negro appears on deserted roads at night, offering wealth and fortune in exchange for something far more valuable, the soul of whoever accepts his deal. The origins of El Charro Negro vary by region, but the most common version says he was once a poor man who made a pact with the devil to gain wealth and power. He received everything he desired: land, cattle, gold, and a life of luxury. However, as is often the case with such pacts, the time came to pay the price. When his time was up, the devil dragged his soul to hell, but as punishment for his greed, he was condemned to wander the earth, seeking others to share his fate. El Charro Negro is often seen on rural roads or at the entrances of villages, where he approaches lone travelers. He initially appears as a friendly figure, offering assistance or starting casual conversation. But as the conversation progresses, his true purpose is revealed: to tempt the person into accepting his riches. It is said he always carries a bag of gold, which he throws at the feet of his victims as proof of his offer. However, if the person touches the gold, they automatically accept the deal and doom their soul. Even without accepting the gold, the presence of El Charro Negro is deeply unsettling. Witnesses say his horse emits the smell of sulfur, and in some cases, its glowing eyes illuminate the surrounding darkness. Those who encounter him often describe a feeling of oppression and fear, as if a heavy shadow has fallen over the area. One of the most famous stories involves a young man named Miguel, who was returning home after a long day working on a farm. As he walked along a deserted road, Miguel saw a man on a black horse approaching. The Charro greeted him and offered him a ride. Exhausted, Miguel accepted. During the ride, the Charro inquired about Miguel's financial struggles and offered him a bag of gold to solve all his problems. Suspicious, Miguel politely declined, but noticed that the air around him seemed to grow darker and heavier. When he finally dismounted, he turned to thank the Charro, only to see that both the man and his horse had vanished, leaving behind only scorched hoofprints on the ground. In addition to encounters on the road, El Charro Negro is known to infiltrate villages, deceiving residents. Disguised as a wealthy and charismatic stranger, he gains the trust of locals before revealing his true nature. In some stories, he gifts villagers with gold that later transforms into ashes or stones. Residents of rural areas have developed ways to protect themselves from El Charro Negro. Many believe that carrying a crucifix or reciting a prayer can ward him off. Others say the best defense is to avoid speaking to strangers on the road, especially at night. For those who encounter him, the advice is simple. Never accept anything he offers, no matter how tempting, and never look directly into the eyes of his horse. El Charro Negro is not just a legend of caution against greed, but also a cultural symbol reflecting moral dilemmas faced by communities throughout history. His story is still told around campfires and traditional celebrations, reminding everyone that not all riches are worth the price of one's soul. If you find yourself traveling along deserted roads in Mexico and see a distinguished man on a black horse, think twice before accepting his help. Those who give in to temptation are never seen again, leaving only a trail of darkness and regret behind. Legend 8. La Leyenda del Popocatépetl y Iztaccíhuatl. The Legend of Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl. In the heart of Mexico, the majestic volcanoes Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl rise like silent giants, dominating the landscape with their grandeur and mysticism. For Mexicans, these mountains are far more than geological formations. They are the protagonists of one of the country's most poignant and tragic love stories, blending bravery, sacrifice, and eternal devotion. The legend begins in ancient times, during the height of the Aztec Empire. Iztaccíhuatl, known as Ista, was a princess of unparalleled beauty, the daughter of a powerful tribal chief. Many warriors sought her hand in marriage, but her heart already belonged to Popocatépetl, a brave and loyal young warrior. Their love was passionate but forbidden, as the chief believed no man was worthy of his daughter. Determined to earn the chief's blessing, Popocatépetl asked for Ista's hand in marriage. The chief, skeptical of the warrior's worthiness, imposed a daunting condition. Popocatépetl had to lead his army to victory in a battle against a rival tribe. Only then would he be allowed to marry Ista. Without hesitation, the young warrior accepted the challenge, and Ista promised to wait for his triumphant return. However, fate had other plans. During the war, a jealous rival of Popocatépetl returned to the village and lied to the chief, claiming that the warrior had been killed in battle. Heartbroken by the false news, Ista succumbed to grief and died of sorrow. When Popocatépetl finally returned victorious, he found his beloved lifeless. Overcome with despair, he vowed to never leave her side, even in death. Popocatépetl carried Ista's body to the peak of a mountain, where he built an altar with his own hands. There, he laid her to rest and promised to watch over her forever. The young warrior remained beside her until the snow and ice enveloped them, transforming them into the volcanoes that now bear their names. Popocatépetl, the active volcano, represents the vigilant warrior, with its smoke symbolizing the eternal fire of his love. Iztaccíhuatl, the dormant volcano, is the sleeping princess, also known as La Mujer Dormida, the sleeping woman. This legend is more than a tale of love. It is a narrative deeply ingrained in Mexican culture and spirituality. The Aztecs believed that the volcanoes were manifestations of the gods and that Popocatépetl smoke served as a reminder of the warrior's devotion. To this day, the volcano's activity is viewed as a symbol of enduring love and sacrifice. Over the centuries, this legend has inspired countless artists, poets, and filmmakers. It is also taught in schools and celebrated during cultural events, conveying a timeless message of eternal love and commitment. For the people living near the volcanoes, Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl are not just mountains but protective figures and symbols of hope. Many visitors to the region claim to feel a special energy in the air. Some report hearing soft whispers carried by the wind or sensing an invisible presence while gazing at the mountains. Local guides often share that on clear nights, one can see a shadow resembling a man beside La Mujer Dormida, as if Popocatépetl continues to fulfill his promise. If you ever visit these majestic volcanoes, take a moment to reflect on the legend of Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl. Their story is not only a testament to eternal love but also a reminder of the power of devotion and sacrifice. They say that if you admire the mountains in silence, you might hear the echo of their vows still resonating through time. Legend 9. El Sombrerón. In Mexican folklore, El Sombrerón is a mysterious and terrifying figure known for his ability to charm and haunt his victims with music and magic. He is described as a short man, impeccably dressed, wearing polished leather boots and a large, wide-brimmed sombrero that obscures his face. While his appearance may seem harmless at first glance, those who cross his path quickly discover the danger he poses. The legend tells that El Sombrerón is a wandering spirit who appears primarily to young women, especially those with long hair and expressive eyes. He emerges at night, carrying a guitar and singing mesmerizing melodies. His music is so captivating that his victims fall under his spell, unable to resist his presence. Once enchanted, they cannot sleep, eat, or focus, gradually wasting away until they are completely under his control. One of the most famous stories about El Sombrerón involves a young woman named Esperanza, who lived in a quiet village in rural Mexico. Esperanza was known for her beauty and her long black hair that cascaded down her back. One night, as she walked through the village square, she heard a soft melody that seemed to come from every direction. Looking around, she spotted a small man with a large sombrero and a guitar, sitting on a nearby bench. He began to sing to her, and Esperanza felt drawn to the music. In the days that followed, Esperanza began to act strangely. She spent hours staring out of her window as if waiting for someone. Her health deteriorated, and her parents, desperate for help, sought out the local priest. He performed a ritual to protect her, cutting her hair and sprinkling holy water around the house. After the ritual, El Sombrerón disappeared, but he left a warning. Those who mock his music or resist his charms may face dire consequences. El Sombrerón is also known for his obsession with braiding hair. It is said that he sneaks into homes at night to braid the hair of his victims while they sleep. In some versions of the legend, he also braids the manes and tails of horses, leaving intricate but impossible to undo patterns. Though primarily told as a cautionary tale for young women, the legend of El Sombrerón serves as a reminder of the supernatural's influence. In many regions of Mexico, people believe that carrying a cross or reciting a prayer can ward off his presence. Others say that if you hear his music from a distance, you should cover your ears and avoid looking directly at him. If you find yourself in a quiet Mexican village and hear a hypnotic melody at night, beware. They say that El Sombrerón still roams, searching for his next victim. And if you ever feel something tugging at your hair as you sleep, it may already be too late to escape his spell. Legend 10. Los Aluxes. Deep within the jungles of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula live the Aluxes, small supernatural beings that are part of the rich Mayan folklore. Described as mischievous yet protective spirits, they are often likened to elves or nature guardians. They are believed to care for the land, forests, and crops, rewarding those who respect them and punishing those who ignore their presence. The Aluxes are depicted as small humanoid figures, usually dressed in traditional Mayan clothing. Their appearance can be either friendly or intimidating, depending on their mood and the attitude of the person encountering them. They are said to dwell in caves, ancient ruins, or small houses known as Catal Alex, which the Mayans built to honor them. To the Mayans, these beings were not mere legends. They were the protectors of natural resources, ensuring balance between humans and nature. One well-known story about the Aluxes involves a farmer named Hernan, who lived near an ancient Mayan ruin. Hernan noticed that his cornfields were being mysteriously destroyed at night. Frustrated, he decided to spend a night in the fields to catch the culprit. As darkness fell, he heard faint laughter and tiny footsteps, but he could see no one. The next morning he found small footprints around his crops. The village elders advised Hernan to build a small stone house for the Aluxes and offer gifts such as corn, honey, and tobacco to appease them. Hernan followed their advice, and in the following weeks his crops thrived. He believed the Aluxes had accepted his offerings and were now protecting his fields. However, not all encounters with the Aluxes are peaceful. Those who disrespect nature or trespass on sacred lands without permission risk their wrath. The Aluxes are said to cause misfortunes such as illness, sudden storms, or the mysterious disappearance of valuable items. During the construction of a road in Quintana Roo, workers reported strange accidents and equipment failures. Locals claimed the road crossed an area protected by the Aluxes. Only after the engineers performed a traditional ceremony to ask for their permission did the problems cease. The Aluxes are deeply respected by the Mayan people and many modern inhabitants of the Yucatan. Farmers, fishermen, and even tour guides leave offerings to the Aluxes to ensure their goodwill. In some cases, small shrines are built near new roads or bridges to honor these spirits and seek their protection. While many consider the Aluxes to be mythical, there are countless accounts of encounters that defy explanation. Visitors to Mayan ruins like Chichen Itza or Tulum often report hearing faint laughter or seeing small figures darting between the trees. Others feel an invisible presence watching them while exploring the jungle. The belief in the Aluxes reflects the Mayan worldview, where harmony with nature is sacred. They are not just guardians but symbols of the respect humans should have for the land. For those who believe, the key to living in harmony with the Aluxes is simple: show gratitude and respect for nature. If you visit the Yucatan Peninsula and feel that something is watching your steps, or if you hear soft laughter in the trees, it might be the Aluxes. To ensure a peaceful journey, follow tradition and leave a small offering: corn, honey, or even tobacco. After all, earning the favor of the Aluxes can guarantee not only a safe trip but also the protection of spirits that have cared for the land for centuries. If you made it this far, the mystery has hooked you. So, leave your like, subscribe, and hit the bell to follow each new story. Thanks for watching and see you in the next terror.